That's why we are live. You're listening to DRM1. Hope you're having a wonderful afternoon, morning, night, wherever you're listening around. This is the Rant Show, the show where we talk, me and Peter, and normally Kevin, but Kevin's having a day off today. We're going to be talking about climate change. Are you there, Peter? Okay, well, hello. And guess what? We're live. We're just testing the software. I actually have to pipe you through to B2, I think. Can you just repeat? I can hear you, but the people at home can't. So we're gonna have to create that echo that we don't like. Um, Now they should be able to. Sorry. Okay, good. Yeah, no, it's good. Um, Welcome to the Rant Show. I'm Russell. And this is the show where we take a topic, and really today we're ranting about climate change. And look, I'm on the side where look, you should protect the environment. You should be protecting what could one day come back to bite us in the ass. Uh, we've just had some rubbish. Well, that's like saying aliens aren't real. It's like saying Donald Trump's not president. Another subject for another day. Also, I'm just going to turn you up so I can hear you a bit better. So tell us, Peter, where do you sit on this, or the view you're taking today is one of. Go ahead. Well, how can you say that? Because at the how can you say that climate change is not that us humans have not contributed to climate change? Because let's be honest, back in the caveman days, maybe we were just a species, we were just another animal. But as time has evolved, we've got coal power, we've got diesel power. We're drilling the Earth's core to suck out all the oil and gases that the earth needs these materials to function. So to say to people that definitely like me that oh no, we're not harming the environment, it kind of sounds to me like it's like saying oh we're just worried about the money, and it's kind of ridiculous, really. Go for it. So okay, Peter, but that's there is okay. I'll agree with you. The Earth's atmosphere does produce climate change in its natural form, and it does because it has to do what it needs to do. We got animals farting, we got humans farting, but here, hang on. NASA has a website climate.nasa.gov.au, and their evidence is that carbon dioxide levels before 1950 was at below 300 parts per million, and now current levels is above 420 parts per million. Can you not see that we're having an effect on this earth? Like before 1950, let's say before the dinosaurs, but it's not because but it is man-made. We made the engines, we made the cars, we made the shopping, we made the industrial revolution that we have today. China made their factories. We've got coal power stations. This is all stuff man-made. It's not natural to have a power station come up from the ground out of normal. I don't. First of all, let's try not to bring Donald Trump into this because everything out of that man's mouth is basically a lie. He makes it up as he goes to please himself. Yeah, he's a fraud. He's a liar. He's a fraud. He's in his own la la land. As if. I think the people over at NASA know more than climate change than Donald Trump. So what do you think NASA's doing with the money? You think NASA's getting money to go on a holiday, do you? Well, see, look, I can't confirm or deny whether NASA's going on holidays, but what I can say is everyone that actually you got children protesting on the street saying that they want climate to they want a future. This but the big beak is the future of our children. No, he's just the person who founded a TV station. He has no reputation in climate. He just founded a TV station. Let's get some actual scientists. If you're gonna, well, many people would actually disagree with you. Why, if well, that Well, that's actually that fact is actually wrong, and I'm going to stop you there because it is factually wrong. According to NASA again, the ice sheets are shrinking in size, which means that the Antarctica lost about 127 billion tons of ice per year during 1993. During the same period in the past decade, 127 billion tons of ice sheets. Yeah, because the climate is changing. We, the people, are going into areas that we should not be going to. So what? Screw the Eskimos for a second, because at the end of the day, it's not about whether someone lives in one place or someone doesn't. It's about the fact that man-made machinery, man-made things that we're doing, like we never hunted cows or had cows or other animals in closed areas for breeding purposes before the industrial age. Well, everyone farting causes climate change. You are putting carbon dioxide out into the atmosphere. You're putting gases, human gases, or animal gases, or any gas. I don't think we're saying that anyone. I don't think we're saying that anyone needs to stop eating food. What I think what we need to do is really just look at what the human impact of climate change is and how we can maybe we there is no way, and this is in general, there is no way in history that we are going to be able to reverse the mistakes that we have made. And this is the thing, man-made machineries have made this climate situation that we're in. I'm looking at a company. We're looking at. Hang on. We're looking at company. We're looking. Hang on, Peter. We're looking at companies like Shell, like Woodside, like Well, that that's not the point. But guess what? There's lots of then maybe we should also then maybe we should. I'm going to turn down for you for a second because I cannot get a word in. Maybe we should stop having kids. If the problem is climate change so much because people are farting and animals are farting, then maybe no one can hear you, Peter. I have muted you. Then maybe the problem is that humans should not be having kids. Peter. I can hear you. I had to turn you down. You would not let me get a word in. But there's a, well, no, that's not quite right. Look, I, I think this kill the cows kind of thing needs to stop because that's not really it's yes, cows and other animals. Let's clarify. No, because okay, hang on. You kill the cow, and which stops it from farting, but a dead body, be it animal or human, does let off CO2 gases because it decomposes. But then you fart it, then you shit it. Like seriously, you're shitting out poop that releases carbon dioxide. No, poop does not. Get oxygen. Let's be on. Let's clarify that point right now. No, but okay. Here, look, we're gonna go to a song break right now, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about a protest that has just happened here in Perth, and why some of the messages that they are portraying is the actually like it's detrimental to their cause. Let's be honest. We're gonna be back straight after this song. You're listening to the Rant Show live on DRN. And we are live across Perth and the rest of the world. Welcome back to DRN1. This is the Rant Show. Hope you're having a. Oh, hang on. And we are live back on TRN1. This is the Rant Show. Wherever you're listening around the world. Peter, hopefully I've fixed your echoing issue.
Yeah, I must admit that before, when I was having my rant, I couldn't hear a word you were saying because the echo was coming through my headphones, and all I could hear was myself. Because I do like to hear my own voice.
Don't we all? We all like to hear our own voice.
The good thing was I couldn't hear yours at all.
Well, at the moment, guess what? You're not going out. Hang on one second. We're going to go to another. If you're listening on radio, we're going to go to another break. And when we come back, hopefully the audio issue will be fixed. 1 second.
What? They couldn't hear me?
No. So I just need to go here.
Now you know what I have got to
Can you just talk to me now?
I can just talk to you at the
Okay,
moment,
now
yes.
now they can hear. Now they can hear.
All right. All right.
What? Alright?
I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, cool. Well, we'll just cut this song. 21:20, just edit out. Welcome back to the Rant Show. I'm Russell and Peter's here. Before we had a little rant, we were basically having some issues with one of our audio devices, so Peter couldn't really hear me talk. Now, Peter, now that we've got that sorted and all fixed up, so now you can hear me. Let's talk about coal, and actually no, we're going to talk about the protest that just happened here in Perth and around Australia by high school students. What do you think?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you were. Okay, so basically, high school students last week ended up protesting here in Perth, and there was a few signs that got me a bit like hypocritical, if that's the correct word. Basically, one of the signs said zero carbon emissions, meaning that they wanted zero carbon footprint. Um, That's impossible. Let's be real for a second. You cannot have an Earth without carbon dioxide. Something has to have. We have to be producing some level of carbon dioxide for plants and plant life to actually
Exactly,
breathe.
because otherwise the plants would all die.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
to the person who wants a zero carbon emission, if that's real, clearly you don't understand science. Clearly you failed education. Clearly you need to go back to school. So good on you, go back to school. Now, I hope that person hears that because
Did you know?
what?
Can I just say something? Did you know that they've done studies in hothouses, in greenhouses, right? Where when they pump extra carbon dioxide into the growing environment, where they're growing vegetables and marijuana, and they pump the extra carbon dioxide in, like beer gas, for example, it makes them grow faster. The plants are healthier, which means the higher the carbon dioxide level we have in our environment, the better for plants and trees. So we should actually aim to have more carbon dioxide in our environment.
I disagree with saying that we need more carbon dioxide in our environment because we're chopping down so many trees, and we've got to look at that study in its actual fact. It was in a closed environment. It was where they could control the level of carbon dioxide and gases that were. And they knew exactly how many trees and plants they needed to actually absorb that CO2 and carbon emissions. So the problem we have is the Earth. Look, there's paper manufacturers out there. Not saying that we shouldn't be making paper because we need to print things, but we are chopping down more trees now than what we are replacing.
So we should, that it's much cheaper. That is, it's far more efficient and economical to make paper from hemp than from wood. So what we should be, because hemp grows faster than wood, basically.
So you're saying we should all be stoners?
Be doing, in fact, no, it's a different type of hemp. I'm talking about fibre hemp. We should be producing fibre hemp to make clothing, to make a paper, and all of those sorts of products, instead of using the old-fashioned system of using wood.
Okay.
And wood chip.
Yeah.
So rather than having plantations and growing a tree that will take 30, 40 years to reach maturity before they cut it down and then wood chip it and then put it into paper production, you can grow hemp on the same ground and every year you can harvest it. And so you produce a lot more hemp, therefore a lot more paper, with any given inputs of land, water, fertilizer, and everything else like that.
Yep. So I'm just
Problem.
so
That's the
so
problem.
so
Problem
just to
solved.
just to clarify, the hemp that you're talking about is not the same plant that grows marijuana.
Correct.
Okay, because
It's
I just
not the
searched.
drug hemp.
So I just searched hemp,
I'm talking about the fiber.
yeah, but okay. So I'm trying to find information while we're live on air about the five plant. Let's have a look at see if I can Google which
The fiber
it.
pack. Yeah, I've
Well,
got
no,
I've
okay,
got
so,
clothes
so hang
made
on,
of
hang on,
hemp.
hang on. So the actual fiber does come from the hemp plant, the same plant that
Yes.
actually makes marijuana. That's what I was trying to say, and I was correct. So it's a byproduct basically. You're saying let's get stoned and let's make clothes and let's make paper out of hemp.
No, I'm not saying that, but that's a good idea.
Well, look, and it's funny we bring the comment to hemp and marijuana as well, because the ACT has just literally legalized marijuana. Like you
You
can
better
go.
say what the ACT is, because
Oh,
people
the
say
Australian Capital
ACT.
Territory of
What is it?
Australia. It's where this is no joke. Canberra is the capital of Australia, where the government is making legislation. Now, this is the
Where the
thing.
politicians
Where
hang
the
out.
politicians hang out. Now, isn't it funny? The federal politicians will be able to use this ACT law, the Australian Capital Territory law, to get to basically smoke dope while they're in Parliament
Legally.
and the rest of us suckers have to keep smoking tobacco. Like, come on, like running a country can't be that
Do
hard
you
where it's
smoke
that
tobacco?
stress. No, I don't. Uh,
See, you don't. I don't smoke it. How old-fashioned? How old-fashioned would you have to be to smoke tobacco? Really?
well, a lot of people still smoke cigarettes, and it's look.
But they're old-fashioned. I mean, that's grandpa stuff.
Well, okay, let's bring it back to the topic: climate change and tobacco. Like, do you reckon that's impacted the? Let's be realistic. Where if a person's smoking tobacco is sucking in, I don't know how many chemicals they're sucking in, but they rat poison, pesticides, what
There's
else?
4,500
4,000.
chemicals added by the tobacco companies to tobacco during the manufacturing process.
Well, there you go. And like, if your lungs can't handle tobacco smoke, then do you expect the Earth to be able to?
Well, I'll tell you this now. The percentage of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is, in round numbers, about 2%. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that we should be prepared to trade in about 2% of the nitrogen content of our environment, because that's about 70%. We don't need the nitrogen. It's in earth gas that we do not use. So what we should do is at least trade in another 2% of nitrogen and replace that with more carbon dioxide. So we have 4% carbon dioxide for the sake of the plants. So trees and plants and marijuana and tobacco, everything will grow better.
But then, do you not also see that by I guess, look, we're no experts on climate change, and definitely not me. I'm not. I sit on the fence yes, we want to make sure that our environment is healthy, but we also need to make sure that we don't go too far and make ourselves basically harming the earth by taking too drastic fixes, I guess, because the earth can't look. You got the ozone layer, which is repairing itself. If that's already repairing itself, then how do we know that and I guess this is going back to what you said earlier, Peter. How do we know that the ozone layer fixing itself isn't the cause of the sea levels rising, temperatures rates going up? Because hang on, hear me out. You're clapping in the background. I know. I mostly just shot myself in the foot. But think about it this way: we've had an ozone layer. We've had an ozone layer damaged for so long, where carbon dioxide and other
Yeah,
gases
yeah,
have been able to escape the atmosphere and drift out to space.
yeah.
But now that ozone layer is repairing itself, I'm not saying that we're not
It's
harming
a
the environment.
cycle. It's a natural cycle. So we're just in the cycle at the moment that was occurring between, was it, I said, the year 800 and the year 1300. That 500-year period.
But do you
And
think?
then it switched into a cool period. Now it's going back into the warm period to be followed by another cool period.
What,
So if you're smart, you're going to buy mountain tops now and set up ski resorts, because in a couple of 100 years' time, the snow will be back and people will be skiing again.
yeah, I don't think you. I don't really think you want to be um, building businesses based on 100-year plan. Businesses are normally 2-year plans, so unless it's going to be a big.
I know, but if you're going to think like the Chinese, you think well into advance. You're working decades in advance.
Mm. Well, let's be realistic. This is the problem that I have with governments in general, is that us- the okay, US, you gotta wake up. Donald Trump's no good for you. I'm gonna say that right now. That's hopefully we won't need to talk about him for the rest of the episode. But um, okay, you know
Come
that
on, Daddy.
we don't need sound effects. But no, the guy's a tosser, and I'm calling it out as it is because that's basically what he is. Live studio audience, we like that. But seriously, like like he, I don't even know where to start because he's he's basically bad for the environment. He's bad for the people of the United States. He's bad for the world, and I know that's going to drive people up the wall and drive people up the wall. And we are trying to stay on topic of climate change. We are not experts on this, so. If you want to send us your opinion, please do so on our Facebook and on our socials. You can head over to
All right.
drn1.com to get all
Let
that.
me say something. Please let me say something about climate change.
Go for it.
The whole thing is based on predictions. It's all about predictions of what will happen in the next however many years.
Mm.
But it's all based on predictions. And there's no way of knowing if those predictions are going to be true, whether they're going to be worse than they predict or less than they predict, because they're just predictions.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know. When they say, there's going to be an increase of 1.5 degrees Celsius in 2052 or something, it's all a prediction.
Of course.
No one actually knows.
But
So
that prediction.
all we can do is look backwards.
Yep.
The problem is that before about 1850, they did not have thermometers. We have no way of knowing what the temperatures were before about 1850 unless we start looking at tree rings, growth rings, coral, lake beds and stalagmites and stalactites and all that sort of thing. You're looking at those sort of indicators in nature. And when we do, the problem with that is that it is not global. It is in a specific geographical area and it doesn't necessarily reflect what was happening in other parts of the world, which comes back to the case of our predictions of what's going to happen in the climate in the future is based upon looking at what did happen in the past, but unfortunately looking at the past is not very accurate. So what are our predictions? Not very accurate.
Yep.
Thank you for agreeing.
Well, I guess I really can't agree or disagree because at the end of the day, again, this is just our opinion. This is just a show where we're ranting about a topic. Today's topic is climate change, and unfortunately, we don't have an expert here who could rebuttal everything you're saying or everything I'm saying or make suggestions on what we're saying. But let's take a practical look. Let's look at the protesters that protested here in Perth. This was a legit a sign. The sign read the following: "Get rid of plastic." Full stop. Now, this
Plastic's got
person,
nothing to do with climate change.
hang on, this person had in their other hand a plastic bag with their lunch in it, wrapped in plastic foil, a plastic cup that she had her drink in. Now that's hypocritical. Like, you cannot tell me that. And then just to where you said that doesn't cause climate change, it has an impact on the environment. Like, there are some sorts of plastics that doesn't break down very well. It doesn't dissolve naturally because of all. Well, it's plastic. Let's be honest. And we were drilled by government that plastic bags in the ocean are killing wildlife. They're killing uh, animals. So we can't
Mm.
really say that plastic doesn't do anything to the environment. It clearly does. To produce it, it has to let off chemicals into the atmosphere because it melts certain chemicals, and it forms a plastic. Now that plastic, if we ate that plastic, we would die. Imagine all those fishes and other creatures that are eating that chemical are actually also, like, we can't say plastic's not bad. Plastic is not bad when it is bad.
Um, Look, our Prime Minister stood up in the UN a few days ago when they were having the conference about climate change, and he rabbited on about plastic. As someone said in one of the programs I saw on TV where the commentators were talking, that's like standing up and start talking about a measles vaccination when the problem is Ebola. It's a completely different thing. Plastic pollution, yeah, okay, it's a problem. But it's not the same as climate change.
No,
I
it's
see
not.
your argument where you're saying that plastic production and the production of plastics, which actually come from oil and fossil fuels, may be in some extent contributing to the problem because of the manufacturing processes and the heat and the energy used to produce the plastics. But it's actually a different problem. It's a pollution problem. It needs to be addressed, but it's not climate change. The climate change comes back to CO2. Okay, so the CO2 unfortunately does warm the planet environment. That's a fact, I know. Plants need CO2. So there's a very fine balance between what the plants need and can use effectively and what is bad for the plants because of the warming, which then means it's too warm for plants.
That's not the only thing that plastic bags do, or plastic in general. Plastic bags tend to disrupt the environment in a serious way. They even get into soil and slowly release toxic chemicals into the soil, which then, unfortunately, the animals eat and often choke and die, as well as that chemical ends up going into the soil which the plants grow in. So it has a twofold effect.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, but I'm saying the plastic is not climate change. We're talking about climate change. You just changed the subject halfway through by taking it plastic.
No, but they have its place in be it whether it's in the production of said product such as plastic, or in the destruction of said product like plastic. It is all happening to the climate. It all is part of the environment. It's like saying to me, it's like it's you can't drive a car without an engine. And so without the engine, the car doesn't work. Well, without plastic in our
Well, it does
atmosphere.
if you've got a big enough lucky van. It does if you've
No,
got a big
but
enough electric van.
without plastic in our atmosphere, then, or in our environment, we wouldn't be, in some certain extents, we wouldn't be harming the environment to what levels we may be harming the environment now. Now, I know the biggest thing about this new age here in Australia is no more plastic bags in shops. Guess what? We're going to talk about that when we come back from our next music break, because have you noticed that they're now charging for plastic bags in shopping centres? We're going to talk about that next, right here on Rant Show. Stick around, stay tuned. Okay, that should be playing. Good. Make sure it's coming out there. Hey everyone on YouTube watching us live. We are very grateful for listening. Are you watching that? I was wondering why I couldn't.
The moon reflects my wings upon the ocean.
So, we've got
Enlist me with emotion.
Yeah.
During our music break.
Yeah. So they can hear us now.
Should we be banning all plastic bags and replacing them with, say, paper bags?
Well, see, I don't know what the okay. So paper would break down a lot easier, absolutely. But I want to know the paper manufacturing side of it, like. How harmful is it to the environment? How?
I'll tell you what I bought here the other day, and I've got them right here, okay? I have got bags for rubbish bags, which are environmental, and they're organic bags, and they break down.
Okay, well, guess what?
They appear to be plastic, but they're not plastic.
Yeah.
They're made from vegetable material. They're 100% vegetable material. So unlike the plastic bags, once we've used these and we put our rubbish in them,
yep.
They break down because they're actually made from vegetable products.
Interesting.
Not
Well,
from oil-based
I've just literally just googled the I've just lost my plate. Paper production. So in general, how paper's made and what it does. So this is interesting. When paper rots, meaning that paper bag that you've got, when you put it in the bin, it emits methane, a greenhouse gas. However, when you burn it, it's carbon dioxide, which trees can take in carbon dioxide. They don't take in methane.
Correct.
So, in a way, we have to also be educating people to burn their plastic bag. To burn their paper bags.
Well, you may or may not be aware that the local council in which you live, the local council in which I live, are now collecting the rubbish and incinerating it to produce electricity.
But
the incineration process captures the smoke and chemicals which are produced as a result of the incineration. They're not emitted into the environment.
Okay, interesting. To the person who's watching us on YouTube.
Environmentally friendly.
To the person who's watching us on YouTube, hello, thank you for watching us. I can still hear you talking there. Music lightly playing in the background. Yes, we know. And I'm still outside. I'm still outside. Hang on. What do you mean you're still outside?
That person is not watching us, are they? Or are they listening to us?
Yeah, no. Still outside. Are they outside still? And I'm still outside. Hang on. I'm going to just open the... Oh. We're just going to keep the music break going on DRM1. I've just asked them what they mean by they're still outside. Bear with me. I'll be back in a second.
Outside your front door.
I think so. 1 second.
Maybe they're outside the door when they say, I'm still outside. Because he did unlock the door when we started the program. He's correct. He did lock the door when he started the program. And now we hear the voices. It must be someone was outside the door. And isn't technology wonderful?
And come on through. How are ya? Take a seat. Sorry, we're just in the middle of doing the show. Talking about climate change. Yeah. Well, feel free to jump in. We're talking about plastic.
I'm just explaining. I
Um,
just explained to listeners that technology is wonderful.
yeah, he's just putting the headphones on. Bear with me. So he can hear you now,
Okay.
Peter.
Who is he?
I've had a brain fade. Kale, hang on, check. Go again.
Yeah, my name's Caleb.
Is that Kale?
Caleb. Caleb.
Caleb.
Yep.
K-A-L-A-D?
No, EB.
Yeah, C-A-L-E-B.
Yep.
Oh, E-D. Okay.
B for Bob.
In
B
erectile
for Bob.
dysfunction.
Caleb.
E-B as in Bob.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna go back on in a few seconds, so bear with me. Oh, by the way, Caleb is a gardener, so he would be perfect for this episode because it's he knows how plants suck in oxygen or carbon dioxide.
Depends which way you want to look at it.
What do you mean by it depends on which way you want to look at it?
They expel more than they pull in.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk about that as well. Okay, we will be back in. Oh, bear with me. 40 seconds. To everyone on YouTube, hello.
Have we got any listeners on YouTube? I
Yeah.
thought that was Caleb.
we have a few. Okay, we are back in 20 seconds.
Counting. Down.
10. Okay. Turning it on now. And welcome back to the Rant Show. Why is it not recording my voice? That's because I didn't press it on. Welcome back to the Rant Show. I forgot to press A2. It's not B1, B2. We're joined in the studio by a YouTube viewer who was standing outside. Caleb, hello.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome anytime. Now, you're a gardener.
Yes.
Yep. And look, it's just a coincidence that you're here while we're recording our show. But tell us, you said something just a few seconds ago about plants and the way that they suck in oxygen or carbon dioxide.
Yeah, so the way the plants photosynthesize is actually rather interesting, the way they move carbon through and out. They actually only absorb between 20 and 30%, and it'll actually expel the other 50. So they're not actually absorbing the full amount and then expelling the oxygen. They're actually only pulling out 50 to 50 amount and then expelling more back in, sometimes is what they put out.
So in other words, destroy the plants.
Really? So you,
Yeah, well, the bigger the tree, the more likely it's going to absorb the carbon, the oxygen, and expel it out and put it into a good atmosphere again. But the chances of that actually working out is quite low for a younger plant, especially that we're taking out the larger environment these days.
Yeah. So I think that's the thing.
Can I then ask you? I don't get a word in.
Go on.
I was just going to say, the Australian government have got this idea about sequestering, I think the right word is, carbon in the ground through plants. Does that work?
Well, water source to start with is going to take away a fair bit of that. Carbon is going to sit there, but as it rains, it's going to push it down further and further. And depends what plant you're talking about. Most of them have a pretty good taproot system going right down hundreds of meters. But as a new plant, less than 20, 30 years old, if you're talking of your gum trees and what sort, they're only going to have a shallow base. So they're not going to be pulling in much out of the ground.
So, where do you sit on the whole pumping out carbon dioxide into the ground versus into the air? Do you have an opinion?
Well, it depends what kind of surface you're putting into. If you're putting into like a light sand, a heavy sand, or if you're going to put into a clay is going to sustain it. It's quite a thick surface. Our soil here in WA, very light, very sandy, washes it straight through. You probably notice when it rains, everything goes straight down, nothing to show for it.
Sometimes. Depends on where you live.
Yeah, sponge.
Well, yeah, I've seen places where they've
Okay.
got 20 mils of rain and it's flooded.
Yeah. Okay. So I just quickly googled about the paper manufacturing, and while off air, I said to Peter that to produce 1 ton of virgin paper, it's estimated that 253 gallons of petrol is used. That's so we're taking out oil, which petrol's made out of oil, depending on what type of petrol. They don't specify here whether it's diesel petrol or what. So what I'm going to say it's something oil based, and that's that has to pump off some gases somewhere, and well, in history shows us it's been pumping into the sky. Peter?
Are you speaking to me? Oh,
Well,
okay.
I'm speaking in general.
Yes. I'm not a general, but I will speak. Okay. Our problem, obviously, and Caleb is just what he's saying about plants. That nothing is very simple and cut and dried. There are complexities in the whole thing. And I mean, he was just talking then about the type of soil that a plant is growing in and the age, whether it's an old plant or a young one. And now you're talking about the paper production and the amount of resources that go into producing the paper, including petroleum products, whatever they may be. But there's these side effects of everything, and even a plant will be sucking in oxygen, but only using some of that. And then, and it depends on the age of the plant. It's so complex that how can people make predictions about what is going to happen with the climate overall with so many complexities?
I think
it's just mind-boggling.
I think the problem is that, look, we've just had a big forest fire which was not natural in the Amazon. Apparently that was people who lit some fires to backburn or something, and it just went out of control. That was, let's be realistic, we're getting rid of too many trees or too many plants in general to... and that's having some sort of an effect on our environment. It's making... And I don't want to go into this thing saying, oh, it's making it hotter, it's making it colder, it's making the ice caps melt, because we don't clearly know what is happening. Like, I can say to you...
The news is all about the Amazon, but the fact is, in equatorial regions in Africa and in Asia, they have fires too. At the moment,
everyone has fires. We have fires here in Australia.
Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, the Philippines, all those places at the moment, people are having respiratory problems because of the burning off that is occurring in the jungles in Malaysia, Indonesia, and so on.
Yep.
So it's the same thing as the Amazon. It's going on in Asia. It's going on in Africa. They've got as many fires in Africa equatorially at the moment as they do in South America, because it's the time of the year. It happens every year. It's going on.
I was
just hoping.
Yeah, you're hoping.
I was just hoping that the regrowth of the trees would be able to therefore help to convert the carbon dioxide. But from what Caleb had just said, that's the old growth will do it, not the young growth. And then I'm thinking, okay. Well, that's not going to work.
No, it's not. If we're to keep going and destroying our old trees and old plants and that, and the young growth trees don't have the the growth that it needs to better suck in carbon dioxide and other harmful chemicals, what's the point of replanting?
Well, the theory of replanting is you want to eventually get to a point where we're back to having a large facility of plants. If you don't have that large facility and we get rid of it all and we constantly replant, take it down, replant, it's never going to achieve a full goal. So what they're doing now is they're specializing areas of planting to try and, it's going to be 50, 60 years before we even see those trees doing anything, So we just got to...
It's really long term then.
It's a long-term plan.
So
Okay.
if we plant
And
50 to 60 for every one we cut down, that's probably going to do half the effect, but not to a full level, if you know where I'm coming from.
So, Peter,
and at the moment in Pakistan, they're planting billions of trees at the moment. Billions of trees are being planted in Pakistan at the moment as their contribution to fixing the environment. But if they plant billions of trees now, there's going to be obviously deaths of trees that will never get to maturity. But the others, they're not really going to make a difference on the environment for maybe another 40, 50 years.
Yeah, that's a
Correct?
fair way to look at it. But just got to remember that all those trees, if it's 50 million, it'd be doing equivalent to probably a million full-grown trees. You got to remember that one small tree at 2 meters high has only got a surface area underground of probably 30 square meters and going straight down maybe 50 meters, whereas a larger tree is tapping down hundreds of meters and spread it out by that time. So you got to think of the footprint per tree, not velocity. So if you think of how high it is, it's not always that case. It could be a really tall tree with a really narrow root system.
So, just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
plants, they don't suck in methane gases, do they?
There is a couple plants, but you would refer to them as weeds more than a plant.
Okay, so...
I think mother-in-law's tongue is one. Mother-in-law's tongue is one that actually absorbs all sorts of different kind of plastic gases.
Oh, that's a plant. Okay, I wasn't quite sure you were saying then. Because, look, I'm just on the worldcounts.com, and they're saying that an A4 paper let me go. When a paper rots, it emits methane, a greenhouse gas. When it is composed or composted, carbon dioxide.
Composted.
Yep, so when you compost it or burn it, it produces carbon dioxide. So which one's better? Letting it rot or burning it?
Burning it is actually a quicker way to decompose it. It's a much finer molecule, then it'll break down quicker, meaning that it's going to sit there for less time.
Okay, so Peter, you said earlier that you've got a bag that is a paper bag. Now, when you go grocery shop,
No.
These
These bags here, I picked them up in Bunnings, I think. Yeah, I did. These bags, they look like plastic bags, okay? But they're actually made from plant products. And so, unlike plastic bags, they break down, because they're made from vegetable material, they break down in a matter of a few months.
How many of those bags do you have to buy, Bud?
Well, this is coming in a bundle of 20 bags.
And how much does it cost you, out of curiosity?
I don't know. I didn't look at the price when I bought them.
Okay.
I bought them because they were recycled rubbish bags. Because we used to put our rubbish in the kitchen into the supermarket plastic bags, but now we don't get those. So we started buying plastic bags, and it was ridiculous buying plastic bags to replace the plastic bags that the supermarket was giving us, because we're buying the plastic bags from the supermarket, so they make money out of us, selling us a product they used to give us. So instead, I've gone and bought these plant-based vegetable material bags that look like plastic bags, but they are biodegradable. And so I figured that's the way to go.
If you think about...
I don't know what they cost.
If you think about the process of making a plastic bag, even if it's biodegradable, economical, friendly, eco, plant-based, it still needs a factory to produce this. So even if you think you're saving the environment, you might actually be hurting it more from the factory side for your 5 minutes of fame with the grocery line saying, I've got a bio bag.
No. Because these biodegradable bags are made in China. So it's not my problem, it's China's problem.
Oh, also China doesn't affect the rest of the world. I'm glad we're on the same page.
We might as well put China in a bubble.
Well, if Donald Trump had anything to do with it, they would be somewhere over in the west of the universe.
We said we wouldn't mention him another That's okay. I was trying not to...
He's an inspiration. He's going to fix every problem by not fixing it.
Donald Trump.
Well, he's
is
going to
my
be
hero
impeached
because
soon.
Donald Trump knows more about everything than anyone.
I think
I'd
he
give him a
does.
run for his money. I'd hope.
Yeah, I really hope they lock him up.
No, I hope he stays around for a bit longer. I really enjoy his style of running a country to a degree.
Well, yeah. Okay, well,
As
that's
long as
it.
it's not my country.
Well, at least, look, hopefully, look, I just hope that his whole family, except for Melania, I have a soft spot for Melania. It's like she's the
Why?
she's the silent type who's just going, like, you see him try to give her a kiss and she's like bumps him off and she's just like, don't touch me, you dirty man.
The silent types are always the one that come out last.
Yeah, she'll be fun. Anyway, that's it for this episode of the Rant Show. I hope you had a wonderful day listening to this episode. You can catch the podcast version
I was
dropping
just
next
getting
week.
going too.
I know. Well, maybe we could do a part 2 of this show another time. Until next time, we're going to put you back to some music on DRM1. So stick around, stay tuned. This has been The Rant Show. Thanks for listening.